I've made a start of stripping this door out now. So I've got all the window regulator, all the wiring out, anything that needs to come out. I was thinking about cutting away at the frame just to a little bit more extra weight, if you know what I mean, but I don't think it's going to be necessary at this point in time. Again, if we're chasing points of kilos or grams, then I might do, but I don't think we're at that stage just yet. I think I need to focus more on the driving than I do in preparation of the car. So I've taken all the wiring out from the door, and I've terminated it all up here, and as well as the relay controller for the driver's window, I've terminated all that up there. I've cut away all the window switches and the fog light and heated rear screen, so I just need to wrap them back up in there, tidy it up. So I've got my rear fog light. If I've read the diagrams correctly, I just need to put power to these two wires. So I've got my fog light here, and I've got my heated rear screen here as well, which is powering my rain light. So I've got that wired into the rain light at the minute. So hopefully I just need to put power to these and they will work. If not, we're going to have to come up with another idea, because I've cut it all out now. So this is the body control unit, BCU, 5AS, whatever you'll call it. So I'll need to keep this, because that obviously is part of the immobiliser for the engine ECU, and it runs some of the lights as well, which again I need to keep. So that'll get tucked away in there somewhere. The only bit I need to sort out now is for all my gauges and the fog lights. Oh yeah, and there's a little bit of wiring just there, which is for the heater fan, so I might use that to power up my switch panel basically. So I'd take the earth and the live from there to power up the switch panel. But the only thing is with that's on ignition, that's not on a battery, so I'd have, for anything on that switch panel to work, I need to have the ignition on, which isn't too much of a drastic. But I think when we go to revamp all this wiring at a later date, probably next season now, then I might change all that and give it as permanent feed, but we will see. So yeah, just going to tidy all this up now, tidy up a little bit of that, and sort that plug out there. I might get myself a 2-pin connector to make it easy to take out, and then we're going to put all this back to where it needs to be, and we can then hopefully fit the dash back in. Right, I think I'm about there now. I've tucked up all the fuse box now, so that's all nice and secure. I can't remember what that is for. I think that's for the, not sure if it's for electric mirrors or for a dimmer switch for the dash lights. I think it's a mirror switch, but I'll just plug that back in. Although the mirrors are not connected, so it doesn't really matter. Take it around the other side. Getting to a point now I'm getting a bit sick of sorting wires out. So I've extended this wire here, so that should easily reach to the centre of the dash now. That's for the heated screen. I've got these two wires here that I've chopped out, and that is for the switch panel, live and earth. I think that's going to be ignition. I've got these up here, which is for the hazard switch and for the gauges. So I just need to mount the gauges, which I think I'm going to put inside the centre air vent. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I've got these two wires here which are for my ECU cut-off, which goes onto the back of the switch, and then obviously I've got these two switches here for my rain light and fog light. The only other one that we're missing is for the fresh air fan, so I'm just like trying to think whereabouts I'm going to put that at the minute, but as soon as I do, that'll be, I think that's going to be on top of that BCU ECU. So this one here, I've just connected there. There was a bolt hole there, so I've managed just to put a bolt in there. That's absolutely fine, it's not going anywhere. That is about it. Again, we're just sort of like finalising places or things where they need to be placed. So the next thing is going to be the fan, and then obviously the air for the fan is just going to, hang on, let me just get that. So this is the fan I got. It's just a little 4-inch inline fan. I've actually connected the battery, and it bloody chucks your hand back. So yeah, I'll just earth that straight to the body, that black wire, then that one will just go to the switch on our switch panel. But I'm thinking it's going to mount somewhere around there maybe, or even down here. Don't really matter where it goes, to be honest with you. We'll find somewhere to mount it to, and obviously that'll pull the fresh air from the snorkel, and then we've got some ducting to go on top of that, and that will put it into the driver's windscreen vent about here somewhere. So yeah, we're almost getting there. We're almost ready to put the dash back in. Alright, I just ran a wire, or a couple of wires that I forgot about, which were for the oil pressure and the oil temperature. So I've just ran that in a bit of braid all the way through into the engine bay. You can see it just comes down around, and it's just a ring terminal on one end and a spade fitting, or female spade, on the other end. So I'm now going to get the dash in so we can start mocking up this heater. Right, I've got all the dash back in now, so I can start making my centre dash panel. As you can see, that's where I've put the gauges for the oil temp and oil pressure. That is a Mark 1 centre console that's been cut up, and that's wedged in at the top there, and it's just got a little bolt there with a plate behind it just to hold it in place. I have got some nice cap head screws, or pan head Allen key screws. I'm just waiting for them to come along at the minute. I've got my fan in place, which is, if I can show you, it's tucked up right underneath here. It's just in there. I've got the earth going straight to that body strap there. I've got my live wire coming out, and I've got a nice bit of ducting on there as well. I've actually reduced that from 4-inch to a 3-inch because the inlet to the top dash vent is actually a 3-inch hose. So I've done all that. So yeah, I'm now going to start mocking up the centre console dash piece, and then start fabricating that. Alright, after many minutes, this is what I've sort of like come up with. So it's just going to be at the top here. The top half is going to be where my switch panel is going to go, and then I'm going to have the battery cut off and the fire extinguisher pull just there. I'm going to have the fire extinguisher pull at the top here. so when I pull it, it's not gonna intrude into the gear stick, and the battery cut off is going to be down there. So that's just a flip key, so it's going to be nice and easy. I was thinking about putting sides onto this to make it a little bit more tidier, to hide on the wires, but in all honesty, what's the point? You know, we'll just have to be a little bit more wire management, so they look a bit tidy behind the dash. See if we can clip them up, make sure we've got enough wires, enough length of the wires, and then, you know, just bunch them all together and cable tie them and put them in some sort of sleeve or something. But yeah, I'm now going to get this cut out of aluminium and get all my holes drilled for the battery cut off, and for the switch panel, etc, etc. Right, so this is probably a couple of hours worth of fabrication, getting this all done. So you can see where my battery cut off is going to be, see my fire extinguisher pull cable is going to be, and then obviously I've got my switch panel mounted up here. I've decided to pre-terminate it all, got my wires in, and then we've got a nice douche connector just in there, so that if we ever need to take this out, then we can just unplug it instead of fanny arsing about with undoing all them screws at the bottom of them switches. So yeah, on the other side of the car, we're going to obviously terminate the other ends into the plug, and then I'll show you how that fits in a minute. Right, so that's what it's kind of going to look like in place. I'm still waiting for the dome-headed screws, or Allen key screws, so I can screw it into the dash, and then I can finalise where the bottom piece is going to go, and then get that all drilled and rivet nutted in. As you can see, it still needs to come up a little bit. It's not perfect, but that will do the job. So yeah, hopefully them screws will be with me later on today, so I can finalise all the position and fitting of that. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, and then I'm going to bunch all the wires together that needs to go into that switch panel and get them to a point where they need to be, and get them terminated all in. So that'll be a case of when I get the screws, all I'm going to have to do then is literally plug that in, put the safety cut off switch in, and we should be good to go to turn ignition on and start testing all our upgrades, and hopefully get this thing started again. Because I still haven't started since I've had all the engine out, and I still need to bleed all the coolant system out. So yeah, that'd be good to get that finalised, and then we can then button up all this dash, get all the clocks back in, get the dash all screwed back in. Again, I'm waiting for some Allen key screws to go into the top of the dash and to hold that in place. Yeah, so we're just waiting on bloody screws at the minute, and then we can get on and finalise the seating position and see what we can do to get that lowered, and then once that's all in, I can then move the car onto the other ramp. So I've got other work that needs to be on this ramp at the minute. So yeah, like coffee time, and then we'll get on to doing some more wiring. Right, this is how we're looking at the moment. So I've got my cables all in one cable, so all I need to do is, if I ever need to take this panel out here, just undo the battery master switch by the 2 bolts, unplug that, and then unbolt it from the dash. And obviously you've got the fire extinguisher thing as well, that just disconnect. But that's all together, that's all fits fine. So again, I'm still waiting for these bloody bolts to turn up. So I'm just going to have a little tidy in here of my tools, and then we're going to stick a battery on. I might stick the dash in, and then we'll see if it starts and runs. Right, I've got a battery all hooked up now. So we're just going to see if it fires into life and see if any of this stuff works. So turn these two come straight on straight away, and that is for the fog light and for the rain light, which is concerning. Anyway, straight into life. I've got an oil temperature warning. But all seem to be running alright. That's the heated screen. You can tell that's working. You hear the note in the engine when I turn it on. Right, I think this one's the rain light. So that should be the heated rear window circuit. No, that don't work either. This is the rear fog light, this other one. So I think I'll need headlights on for that one. They don't work either. So I think we've got some issues there we need to suss out. And this is for the blower fan inside the cab. I still need to hook that vent up to the ducting. I've got the ducting in there, I've just got to connect it to the vent. But that works absolutely fine. Got oil pressure as well. Good. Look like I've got a bulb out in that gauge, so we'll get to swapping that out, although I don't really need it. So concerning why these are on and why that is on. So might be because I've taken the oil temperature from the circuit, that might want to go through the gauge, and then it goes onto the instrument cluster. So because I disconnected that probably is what's going on there. But I'll probably just take the bulb out of there, don't need it anymore. I've obviously got the gauge that I can keep an eye on anyway. So yeah, got some investigation to do on these lights though. Right, I'm just rereading these wiring diagrams, and when I was reading them I was looking at on my phone, but now I've got it on the computer I can see what's what. So this is for the rear fog relay. So as you can see, this is the wire I've wired into the switch. As you see, it's taken out from the switch, and if you look here, it's actually a negative side. If I can get the, I don't think I can zoom it in anymore. But yeah, that's, don't know how clear that's coming out to you. Well, is actually a negative side, and it's the same with the, if I scroll down, it might even be up. I'll try going up. Heated rear window. So this is the switch where I've taken this black and orange wire from, and if you look at it, it's actually very hard to see there, but I just had to zoom up a minute ago, but it's disappeared again. But yeah, that's a negative side on there. So hence the reason why I'm getting a bit of back feed on my switches and illuminating on the switch panel when they're not even turned on. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully, instead of chasing it all the way back and actually getting it from the relay itself, because on the relay I'll need to dig out this green wire here, which goes into the multifunction ECU, or the 5AS, which I could quite easily do and give that a live feed, and then I won't have to worry about having the engine running or the lights on. Same with the rear fog. Or I can rewire the switch panel, so that gives me a negative feed on the switch side of things. But we'll I'll have another look on the switch panel and just see what's going to be my easiest option, because to get all these wires out, this wire here and the one on the rear fog lamp is going to be a bit of a nightmare. I've got to have to tear into the loom again, which I don't really want to do because I've got it into a nice-ish state at the minute. So I'm just going to pull that panel back out and see what we can do. Right, I've made some adjustments, but unfortunately it's not good news. So what I've done here is, normally you'll have the positive on this one here that loops to each switch to give you your positive, and then you get your terminal from your relay, and that goes into the bottom of there, which then gives you your positive. So when you flick the switch on, you get the positive that jumps all the way to there, and this is just for your warning light basically. So it's just got earthed, and then obviously it takes the positive feed from your switch to illuminate. So I've rerouted that. So we've got the negative, so we've taken the positive off the two middle ones, and obviously this light here is negative, so this wire here would be negative as well, because although it's a bulb, it's still a circuit. So that will give me a negative feed here, and then that will obviously, when I flick the switch, that'll take me negative down these two wires here to give me my negative charge for the relay, to activate the relay. Now on the Mark II Fs and the TFs, the switches are a momentarily switch, so you press it and that latches on, but the switch don't stay in, if that makes sense. The switch then pops out. I think they call it like a latching switch. I could be completely wrong, but basically push it, that then latches on, and then you get your positive feed or your negative feed. It's probably making it sound a lot more complicated than what it actually is. If you're an auto electrician, you'd be shaking your head now and be thinking, what is this guy going on about? But although I've done that, when I turn, obviously I've got my headlights on here now, so when I flick this switch here, although the light lights up, the actual fog lamps in on. Okay, so if I turn that back off, I've got my power probe here, and I'll just click the negative, Let me turn the ignition on. Right, let's do it again. So you switch to switch, and all the light is on the dash. No lights. So we'll turn that off, and we'll power probe this. So I'll give it a little quick momentarily switch, and then obviously we've got our fog lights come on and off. Okay, so all I'm doing there is just literally flicking it and turning it back off again. Now I don't know why when I give that its earth, why it don't come on, unless it's because when it's switched on it then gives a positive feed, so that then it don't latch, if that makes sense. And it's the same with the heated rear window circuit, but I need to have the engine running. So again, just on that heated rear switch circuit, that's the rain light on. And then click it again, turn it off. And all I'm doing is on, and connected, off. So I think what I'm going to have to do is buy the toggle switches that you literally flick on that bounces back, if that makes sense. But I don't think I'll have the warning light on there to tell me that it's on, because the warning light comes off, it's really complicated, but the warning light comes off another wire which is energized. So basically what I need to do is energize that wire with the positive of the relay, which is found at that BCU. Otherwise I won't know whether it's on or off, in theory. So yeah, I'm going to get a couple of different switches ordered, and then I'm going to have to put some more wires in for the light, unfortunately. So yeah, but apart from that, all working fine. Right, so this is what I've done here. Don't know if you can see through the mess. I've actually taken the earth from the bulb, bridged it over to this switch, and then bridged that over to the second switch, so they're now earthed without the bulb going on. So now the headlights are on. Hopefully I can flick this up and the fog lights come on, and then you have to switch it back down again and then switch it back up again to then turn them back off again, and then switch it back down again. So there's so now if I flick that up, they're on, they're off. So the momentarily switch that don't hold into place, that then flicks back down automatically. So you sort of like literally go like that. So now all I need to do is, I found that the easier way, because the rear fog relay is inside the BCU, which is that little control unit down there with a D on it. So although I could have, for the rain light, which goes through the heated rear window, I could probably taken the switch live from the relay and fed it into the back of the thing, but I've got all the wires here already. So the only thing I need to do now is dig back through the loom and find the feedback wire to the switch to give me my illumination, which I can just a couple of little spade connectors on there to put it into place, and then that obviously bring my lights on when the switch is on, and then we'll change these out for some momentarily switches. They're only a couple of quid each, so that's not too bad. Yeah, so let's back out with the dash and stripping down all this wiring to find my my live seeds for the illumination. Right, so I've now started to pull apart all this wiring again. So I've taken all the tape off it. I found my two wires that I need. This blue and yellow is for the fog light, and this black and green is for the heated rear window. So all I've done is just soldered in a bit of twin core for now, and then I'll run that up alongside the other wires that come out of this loom and over to the little douche connector. Obviously I'm not going to put it in there, I'm just going to put a couple of spade terminals in there for now, so it's still going to be removable if I need to take a panel out, but it's just not going to be as nice as the douche connector. I haven't got an 8-pin douche connector, and I haven't got a 2-pin douche connector. I've only got another 6-pin. I don't really want to use that at this moment in time, just in case I need it for something else. But yeah, we'll get this bit of twin core wrapped around the loom, get this back in place. As I was tugging away at the wires, I actually took the tab off the 5AS module, or the body computer. So I'm going to have to take the tab off and owl die that in place so I can then bolt it back down again. But I'm just going to get all this tidied back up again, get all that tape back up, and I'll come to you when I've finalised and got it all wired in place and hopefully working. Just waiting for this to go off. Bit of owl dye and glue that back together. I'm sure once I bolt it in and we go down the road, it's going to vibrate and snap off anyway, but it's worth a go. If it do, I'll have to find another method of securing that box in that doesn't involve using the tabs. So probably a few cable ties, I reckon. Right, we're almost there now. I've put all this wiring back together. As you can see, I've got a couple of spade connectors in there, if I can get you in there, just there. There for my telltale warning lights. The box is still there, the glue hasn't quite dried yet, so we're going to leave that to dry overnight before I attempt to bolt it back into place. Worst case scenario, I should be able to get something in there just to hold it in place, cable tie or something. But yeah, everything now works. The only thing I need to do is obviously replace the switch with momentarily switches. So what that means is when you push it up, that then automatically returns back down again. So that's on. That's on. So put my headlights on. I've got headlight out now, look. So this is my rear fog lights. So I can turn that on. I've now got the telltale warning light in there. I've got a telltale there, and that'll just put it back into rest position. My fog lights now work. So if I turn them off, go up and back down again, and then go up and back down again to switch them on again. So that all works as it should. And it's the same with the rain light, but I have to start that up because the relay needs to see, or the BCU needs to see an engine start signal to say that the engine is running, which comes off the factory oil pressure switch. So once it sees oil pressure, that then says that the engine's running, so then I can switch it on, and they ain't going to drain the battery, because the heated rear window that takes quite a lot of current to do that. You can obviously drain your battery quite quickly if you haven't got the engine running. So we'll just turn that on. I've also taken the bulb out of there so that oil temperature light no longer comes back on again. I've replaced the bulb in the oil pressure gauge. My headlight's now working, so I've now got 2 working dials. So we'll do the rain light, which is this one here. Same as before, flick it on, flick it back down again. Telltale say that it's on, and yeah, that definitely is on. God, these things are bright. So that all works. Obviously got my heated front screen there as well. You can hear the engine note change when you turn that on. That's the load on the alternator. Again, I haven't had it on long enough to see if the screen gets hot or not. I don't think you'll be able to feel it, to be honest with you. And the last thing to do is obviously test my blowers. I've got a ducting pipe that goes onto this vent now. That's all plumbed in. I will need to tape that in place because that is quite the ducting is quite tight and it wants to keep ripping out, so we'll tape that in place with some ducting tape, hence the reason duct tape, because it's used to tape the duct in place. So although it's noisy, it's bloody powerful. Hang on, let me get a cloth or a bit of this hits the top of the screen and bounces right back out the driver's face, which is good. So yeah, so apart from changing these switches with momentarily switches, rebolting that, I'm still waiting for the bolts for the dash panels. I was hoping they were going to be here yesterday, and then, you know, raw mail, it could be another day, so I was definitely hoping they were going to be here today, but no, they're not. So don't know when they're going to turn up. Hopefully tomorrow, and then that will be the wiring all buttoned up. So what I'm going to do now is just quickly, I'm going to weigh all the stuff that I've taken out the driver's door, and obviously you times that by 2 and that'll give you all the weight in the driver's door minus the glass, because obviously I want to do a comparison between the weight of the standard glass and the polycarbonate glass. So I'll get this turned off now and then we'll go to weighing some bits. Right, so the scale's at 0. I'm just going to start off by chucking the wiring in here onto the scales. So that's all the wiring out the driver's door, and that's over 0.3 of a kilo, almost 0.4 of a kilo, just on the wiring alone. So we're putting the little electric window box to the driver's side, and that brings up to half a kilo already. Got a few little aluminium bits and stops and a bolt, so that's almost a kilo. This is all the wiring from the electric window switches. We ain't gonna weigh that. 1.3 kilos, and then we'll chuck the motor on as well. And that, so 3.3 kilos. Times that by 2, 6.6 kilos, almost 6.7 kilos, and that's obviously, we haven't even touched the glass yet, and standard glass is heavy, but again we'll weigh that in another video when we do the comparisons, when we go to fit the polycarbonate windows itself. So yeah, that's not bad at all. So we've got 16.8 for the bonnet and the boot lid, and then another 6 kilos on top of that. What's that? 22 kilos. So almost 23 kilos with the point kilos in weight saving just by gutting the doors and the bonnet, or the boot and the bonnet. So we're slowly getting there. As I say, there's a lot of weight left in the doors yet, and we've still got to put some weight in it. You know, polycarbonate windows, they don't weigh nothing, they weigh something, but yeah, that is disposable weight there. So we can chuck that in the bin and yeah, crack on with the next job. What is the next job? I think we'll call it a day for the wiring. You don't want to see me put in a couple of switches, you know, because it's just a case of taking one out and putting another one in. So we'll call that a day on the wiring. So I think the next thing we need to look at is to mount the seat back in and get all this dash back together. Again, I'm still waiting some cap head bolts to go into the top of the dash, where them heater vents are. So yeah, again waiting on them. Yeah, so I guess we'll just be buttoning up a few bits on the next episode, getting the seat lower down if we can, putting the dash back in, putting all the cowling back on, securing the center console, plumbing in the fire extinguisher pull cable. I need to plumb in the outside handle for the safety cut-off switch. So yeah, it's just going to be bits and pieces in that video, and we might make a start on the polycarbonate windows, but we will see. So I'm going to leave it there for today, and hopefully we'll see you in a few days' time on the next video.